Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum
MashaAllah.
salam.
Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, we are here once again. This time with our Honorable Hazrat Mufti Yousaf Baig, MashaAllah. How are you, Hazrat Mufti Sahab?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. How are you?
MashaAllah. Jazakallah for taking out time and being with us today, MashaAllah. So, MashaAllah, Mufti Sahab, MashaAllah, yes, you are quite a well-known figure amongst the youth, especially on I think some of the social media platforms, Snapchat or something. MashaAllah. So, well, personally, I'm quite new to it, but inshallah, so everybody already knows Hazrat Mufti Sahab has been, his specialty is Aqeedah and different deviated groups, etc. MashaAllah. So, Mufti Sahab has been doing a lot of classes, courses in locally as well as different towns around UK and mashallah other places as well. So Mufti Sahab, if you can just tell us a little bit about Aqeedah, the importance of Aqeedah, and then inshallah we'll continue the discussion.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hamidan wa musalliyan wa musallima. Aqeedah very simply is the beliefs that we hold as Muslims.
MashaAllah.
So the things that we bring Iman upon is Aqaid, beliefs. And in essence, beliefs are those things which form our deen as Islam, as Muslims. Without Aqeedah, there can be no Islam. The very basis of Islam is beliefs.
MashaAllah. So the word Aqeedah, where did it come from?
The word Aqeedah in Arabic comes from the word Aqada, which means to tie a knot.
MashaAllah.
And really it symbolizes that when someone ties a knot, it becomes very difficult to pull it apart.
Untie.
So when a person has an Aqeedah, a belief, it's supposed to be so strong that nothing can undo or untie that belief.
MashaAllah. Brilliant. You summed it up really well there, MashaAllah. So is the word Aqeedah mentioned in the Quran or Hadith, or where was it?
So the word Aqeedah is a term which has been coined by ulama to define our beliefs that we have. So you believe in Allah. The belief in Allah is a Aqeedah.
MashaAllah. So alhamdulillah, MashaAllah, it's the month of Rabiul Awwal as well. And in the month of Rabiul Awwal, MashaAllah, people, they remember our beloved Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Prophet. So alhamdulillah, people, have different programs and different events and different functions they do, whatever, what is in line with the Sunnah, etc. But one of the main Aqeedah of ours, our belief for us as Muslims, is that the Prophet ﷺ is not only a Prophet of Allah, but he's the final Prophet of Allah, which is known as Khatm Nabuwwah. So if you can just highlight a bit about the finality of the Prophet ﷺ.
As Mawlana, you mentioned, one of the significant beliefs of Islam is the belief of Khatm Nabuwwah, which is that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the last Nabi and Rasul of Allah to be born. There is no new prophet to come. And this belief is established by over 100 ayat of the Quran.
Subhanallah.
Mufti Shafi Uthmani rahimahullah in Khatm Nabuwwah Kamil has mentioned that there are at least 100 verses in the Quran and 210 ahadith on this topic. The Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam is the final Nabi. I'll just give one ayat. Allah mentions بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم in Surah Ahzab, ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is not the father of any of you men. He is the Rasul of Allah and the seal of all prophets. And many ahadith on this topic. The Khatam, what does Khatam mean? So for example, in the hadith of Tirmidhi, the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam explained Khatam. He said, Ana Khatamun Nabiyyin, La Nabiyya Ba'di. So La Nabiyya Ba'di in essence is an explanation, affirmation, ta'keed of Ana Khatamun Nabiyyin. I am the seal of all prophets, I am the final Nabi, La Nabiyya Ba'di, there is no prophet to come after me.
SubhanAllah. And I was also listening to Allama Sab, Allama Khalid Mahmud Rahimahullah. He was a very, very knowledgeable personality, mashallah. He passed away a few years ago. He was mentioning one of the names of the Prophet of Allah. He himself mentioned, Ana al-Aqib. I'm the last, right at the end. He said, there's like this, mashallah, you mentioned over 210 ahadith, subhanallah. And so this is a very, very strong Aqeedah. And many people, they say, but I believe in the Prophet of Allah. So, why, do I have to believe in this? Well, there are many people out there who claim, then inshallah we'll take the discussion towards that direction. Many years ago, I was traveling, I think, to America or somewhere. So I was at the immigration. So one of the immigration officer, he was interrogating me. And then he's going through my luggage and everything. And then he's telling me that you are Muslim. I say, yeah, alhamdulillah. He said, I am also a Muslim. So, mashallah. And then he said, but I am a different type of Muslim. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm an Ahmadi Muslim. I said, well, you're not actually a Muslim then, isn't it? So many people, they get deceived with these kind of things. I think yesterday or today, I think maybe yourself, we put in one of the groups that they were doing these kind of things. So there are people who don't believe in this Aqeedah of Khatm Nabuwwat, but they still roam around with the title of Muslim. And they try to portray that we are Muslims and we are like true Muslims and everything. So this seems like a very big deception. So if you can highlight a little bit about Qadianis, who they are, why is it so important for them, they are not Muslims, etc.
MashaAllah, Maulana, this is a very important topic. And I think the reason why the ulama are quite focused on the issue of Khatm Nabuwwat, and as you specifically mentioned, the Qadianis, is because they portray themselves to be Muslim. So you have a group called the Baha'is who have a few practices of Islam. They pray 3 times a day. They do Jama' bayna salatayn. They perform wudu in a specific way. Their salah is a specific dhikr. So they've taken certain things from Islam. And some ulama have dedicated books to refuting their beliefs. But I would say that ulama haven't given as much tawajjuh to them as they have given to Qadianis. It's because Baha'is don't claim to be Muslim. And people recognize, okay, it's Bahaism, it's a new building, it's a new door, it's fine. But with these people, they are wearing the cloak of Islam and presenting their beliefs. And that's why it's so dangerous, because they're saying that our book and your book, Quran, is the same. And this is a fallacy. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Or we read the same kalima as you. And many times they say that the hadith, that man salla salatana wa istaqbala qiblatana wa akala dhabihatana fadhalika al-muslim alladhi lahu dhimmatullah. In the hadith of Sahih Muslim, that whoever reads our salah, faces our qibla, eats our dhabiha, he is a Muslim. They say, hum bhi kalima padhte hain, we read the kalima as well, that makes us Muslim. But we know, as per the sharihin of hadith, this hadith only refers to the alamat, the signs of a Muslim. Because we'd ask them, what would happen if somebody opened the Quran and he believed in everything a Muslim is supposed to believe in, but he says, I reject this verse of the Quran. Will you class him to be Muslim? And I think unanimously we can agree that anyone that rejects any verse of the Quran cannot be a Muslim. So if you can accept that rejection of one verse takes you out of Islam, then what about someone who feigns to be Muslim but is rejecting 100 verses of the Quran? So just by calling yourself Muslim, that does not make you a Muslim, especially if you have certain beliefs which contradict clear-cut verses of the Quran.
SubhanAllah. When we mention these kind of things, when we mention Qadianis, and we mention even within Muslims, we have these type of modern type of Muslim, liberal type of Muslim, etc. So they always try to pull this card out. Don't be negative. How do you know? We can't judge. How do you know what's in these people's heart? But when we study the Quran, like you mentioned, mashallah, Allah highlights these kind of people, quite a lot in the Quran. I was listening to one clip of Allama Sab again from, mashallah, you must have heard it. Where Allama Sab mentions that when we open the Quran, the first beginning verses, Allah talks about the believers, Huda lil Muttaqeen. The first 3-4 verses is about the people of Iman. Then the next 2-3 verses is about the إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ. And then the next 12, 13 verses is all about those who claim to be Muslims, but they're not actually. وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. So Allah mentions the people of Iman with just 2-3 verses, 3-4 verses. The people of Kuffar with 2-3 verses. But when it comes to these type of people who wants to deceive, then Allah opens them with full detail. They are like this. They are like this in privacy. They are like this in public. When they are with you, they are like this. You know? So Allah mentions. So these things need to be highlighted. You know, and Muslims are Muslims. You know, many people they say, "Oh, but he says he's a Muslim, so you should just take the word for it." You know, yeah, if he says he's Muslim, but his Aqeedah, his beliefs, you know, is not in line with what Allah calls a Muslim, what the Prophet ﷺ has called a Muslim, you know, what the tradition of Islam is, that how can, you know, so many, I remember in one of the places, I think Sheffield or something, where, you know, we were going past this area, and there was a huge Qadani center, and somebody said, "Oh, nice masjid." So I said, "It's not a masjid." Yeah, how can you call that place a masjid? But they label it as a masjid. And then some others they were mentioning, "Oh, we go there for Jummah." You know, that's where we need to really watch, you know, who we taking our deen from, which places of worship we're going to, which. So one of the things they mentioned is that we say that there will be no prophet to come after the Prophet ﷺ. That is our Aqeedah. But then we believe in the coming of Isa alayhi salam. So how do you explain that?
A very good point that you raised, Muhammad. Just before I move on to that, I just wanted to mention a light-hearted joke. So they say about liberal Muslims, that because they have this idea that you can't judge someone's heart.
Yeah.
They say when Dajjal comes and kafara is on his head, they'll say, "You don't know what's in his heart." And some will offer to pay for his eye surgery as well. Mentioning Allama Sahab, alayhi rahmah, alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity to spend every Saturday for 1 year sitting in his Darsa Quran till late night, 1-2 in the morning, mashallah. And he was an amazing individual who passed away in 2020 in Ramadan, subhanallah. A great loss for the ummah. Allah ta'ala mubarak rahmat farmaye.
Mashallah, we were honored to have him here in 2016 or 2017. Mashallah. That bayan is, mashallah, on YouTube.
Mashallah.
And it's amazing bayan. You know, he mentioned خير القرون قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. He started on that. It was amazing bayan, mashallah. There's a lot of ulama were here, mashallah. Sorry.
And just to reaffirm what you said, I remember as well when I traveled with Abdurrahman Bawa Sahab to America in 2017 for Khatm Nubuwat. So our driver in one city, I won't mention the name, it was the Muhtamim, the head teacher of one of the major Darul Ulooms in the USA. He said to us that we have a Qadiani temple here in our city. And he said, "Look, the reason why I'm driving you guys around is because only recently I've understood the importance of this work." Because he said, "My brother for 3 weeks, my own brother was reading Jumu'ah in a Qadiani temple." Sometimes these incidents make people wake up. You know, our own family members are reading there, not knowing. But mashallah, you've posed a very good question that people have, and it's an objection that these people raise against Islam. If you believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last Nabi, then does not the return of Isa alayhi salam negate Khatm Nubuwah? And for example, Imam Ghazali actually answers this. He says there is ijma' ittifaq, that when we say Khatamun Nabiyyin la Nabiyya ba'di, it means, and Allama Sahab mentions this as well in his talks, La Nabiyya ba'di means no new Nabi will be born after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when Isa alayhi salam returns, it does not affect Khatm Nubuwwat because he was born prior to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Amazing, mashallah. So nowadays we see that I think a few years ago in a particular area, some young doctor or somebody passed away. So one brother I know, he said, "Oh, I won't be able to." He was going to come to see me. So he said, "I won't be able to come. I need to go to a janaza." I'm thinking, who's passed away? They said, oh, somebody who used to go to college or university with us or something. Young guy in their 30s or something, 40s. So I'm thinking like some youngsters passed away in that area. I haven't come to know because I know quite a few people in that area. I asked one of the other imams, do you know some youngster in this area who must have passed away in the 30s, 40s? I don't know. Then when we did a bit of research, then we realized then he said he was a Qadiani. I told that guy that that person, he's not. He said, oh, he's a really good guy. Oh, we can't judge. That he again, he never understood the importance. He said, oh, these people are getting negative now. Yeah. Like I remember once I went to Bradford. Before I used to go a lot here and there. Now for the last few years I've stopped going. Mashallah, yourself, I think you might be going as well. So I remember once I went to Bradford University. And I gave a little talk, and then after the talk, they were asking questions. So they started mentioning about Shiaism and these kind of things. So I mentioned some point just straight away. I'm just like a very straightforward person, so I just mentioned it in one word. They were mentioning about muta or something. I said that's prostitution. So they were saying, oh, but the guy, he said that particular group in the university, that society, the akhlaq is really nice. They're very good. I said, subhanallah, Abu Talib, the Prophet ﷺ uncle, he did so much for the Prophet of Allah. But, guidance was not written for him. So a lot of people, they have the akhlaq is really good, they might be really good. But if the Aqeedah is not in line, so that's what is very, very important that we understand these kind of things. A lot of people nowadays find it very difficult to digest, and especially when ulama highlight these kind of things, then they get very the ulama being very strict, and they are being very extreme, and they are, we need to accept everyone. But we don't find this in other religions. Like for example, in Christianity, we are Mormons. So I remember once we were giving dawah outside in Bali Town Center. Mashallah, yourself, you have been as well a few times, mashallah. So when one guy came and he said, somebody asked him, are you Christian? I said, yeah. And when they were mentioning La ilaha illallah, he was really excited, popular on it. He mentioned Muhammad Rasulullah, especially the Khatm Nabuwah part. He was struggling with that part. So I told him that this guy is a Mormon, and he's a bit like Qadiani, So basically, the Christians will accept him as a Christian. Yeah, so same way. So, alhamdulillah, we are going through this month of September, and the reason there must have been a lot of Khatm Nabuwah conferences and in the month of September is, if you can tell us a little bit of background to that, inshallah.
So this year, actually on Saturday, was the 50th year, and ulama of Pakistan, well, throughout the world, celebrated it as a jubilee of, in 1974, the ulama, especially the ulama Deoband, had debates with the Qadiani counterparts in parliament on the discussion of whether Qadianis are Muslim or not. And it was in 1974, on the 7th of September, when the National Assembly of Pakistan passed the bill that Qadianis are a non-Muslim minority. So that's why it's considered quite a significant event in the Muslim world, where they were declared as a non-Muslim minority in Pakistan.
Subhanallah. And many years ago, I remember one of the, basically a person becomes indebted to somebody who does some ihsan on him. So I remember one Maulana, he was mentioning that this is going back maybe 30-40 years ago. He was mentioning that there was a particular person who was being quite active in the social media or anything. So they were quite leafleting and things like that, whatever way they were trying to promote Qadianism in those days. So the Maulana, he approached that particular person and he said that, deep down, even you know in your heart that this is not right, whatever you're doing. And deep down, even your heart might be saying that, how can this be right? Yeah. Like until today, they normally mention that until today they haven't translated the books of Mirza Ghulam into English. Because if any normal person reads it, he said, this guy is not normal. I don't know if I was just recently listening to the clip of that brother from Australia who just came recently. I don't know if you heard or not. So he was mentioning if we were to do a case against this person, whether this person is a normal Muslim or not, never mind a prophet or anything. We've got so much proof that he's not even a Muslim. Never mind now, trying to claim a prophethood or whatever. But once I went to a Khatm board program, and different scholars were coming in and they were mentioning different aspects, about Qadianism and Khatm board and everything. And after the program, we were all going to one of the rooms for food, etc. So on the way, I was waiting for some of the other guests to come out, etc. So I was standing in the corridor, and there were 3-4 youngsters just behind me. They were talking amongst themselves. And one youngster is telling to the other youngster that after hearing all that, I think this guy was not even mentally well. He was even like, a proper human. So that's why until today they haven't managed to translate his books into English. That's one thing. And subhanallah, I'm just gonna be off the topic, but inshallah you can highlight whatever you feel like. I'm just talking, just random thoughts. My mind is all over the place.
That's what a podcast is for.
So yeah, so inshallah. So what was I talking about earlier on? So something just slipped my mind earlier. I was trying to make a point. So so this Qadiani thing, mashallah, Allah forbid, Allah protect us from falling into the trap of this. Yeah. So I was talking about the Maulana. So he said that he asked that particular person that deep down in the heart, this is wrong. And that person started crying. Yeah. And he said, yeah, I know, deep down in the heart, this is not the right thing. And we said, what can I do? Maybe majboor, they've done so much ihsan on me. And I was in some random village in Pakistan or somewhere. And they paid for, I was so poor and everything. They paid for my, education. They made me into whoever I am today. They got me into this country, my visa, everything. They got me into this position, this job and everything. So how can I not be, how can I just betray them? It's all about ihsan, so even he started crying when he heard it. I don't know. He's passed away now. So I don't know if that person died with Iman or he was still in that. But we need to understand that, Allah has done the most ihsan on us. And the Prophet ﷺ, his ihsan cannot be compared. Everybody else, whatever ihsan they have done, can never get anywhere near to the ihsan of the Prophet ﷺ and, the ihsan of Almighty Allah. Walillahu yamunnu alaykum. One of the name of Allah is Al-Mannan, ihsan. He keeps on looking after us. He's our Khaliq, he's our Malik. So how can we, don't forget the ihsan? How can we don't want to betray the ihsan of small people, creation, but we want to forget the creator? I think in Africa as well, we do some charity work around Africa and Malala, maybe, I don't know if you've been or not. With this point of like كاد الفقر أن يكون كفرا, these people are very poor, they're not very educated as well. So they try to promote Qadianism, large scale. Mashallah, you mentioned Abdul Rahman Bawasab. I think he went to one of these countries. Then so many people became Muslim, reaffirmed their faith and they did tawbah from Qadianism. If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, mashallah,
I don't know which country it was.
In one event or one program, I think 30,000 became Muslim.
Do you remember the country or something?
I don't remember the country.
No, I remember him mentioning it a few times as well. That he went there or he heard that somebody's doing some Qadiani and people are trying to do some, trying to promote because one Maulana, he's doing at the moment he's doing a lot of charity work in Ghana, Gambia, and these Western African countries, Liberia, and Senegal, and these. And one thing he always mentions that he said, compared to the work these guys are doing, he said they are trying so hard to help the poor people there and help the needy people and try to turn them away from the pure religion of Islam into Qadianism. So we need to any books you can recommend on this subject, inshallah?
In the Urdu language, I would recommend the books of Maulana Manzoor Junnati Sahib rahmatullahi. He has lessons on Qadianism, and also Maulana Allah Wasaya's Qadiani Shubhat ke Jawab. So basically, all of the Shubhat they bring, like we mentioned some today, all of the Shubhat he's given answers to them. MashaAllah.
I remember, I think Hazrat Maulana Allah Wasaya is still alive, mashallah. Many years ago, I think about 20, 30 years ago, he did a whole course for ulama. I don't know if you remember.
No.
Well, I don't remember as well, but I've heard that he did for about a good whole week or 10 days just for ulama.
MashaAllah.
It was just, and that whole course, I think Hazrat Maulana Mama Sahib, or Ustad Rahimahullah, I think he compiled it into a book form as well. I don't know if you've seen that book.
No.
So, mashallah, we've got these type of personalities still amongst us. Mashallah, Allah Wasaya Sahib, mashallah. And anything you can recommend in English? Any good websites or any good
I know there's
books?
the Khatm Nubuwat website.
Yeah.
I think there's a few of them. They're quite good.
Like nowadays, a lot of these translations, sometimes we come across of the Quran, etc. Sometimes when we look into it, we realize that it's something who we shouldn't be reading. Like the other day, one brother, he WhatsApped me a translation of the Quran, and he told me, "What do you say about this translation?" I forgot the exact. It was a few weeks ago. So I looked at it properly. I was just trying to see, like, have I seen this before? Where have I seen it? I looked at the name and everything. I did a bit of research. I asked on one or two other ulama groups and etc. We realized it was Qadian. So we have to be very, very careful, in the dress of Islam, in the gown of Islam. We are again fed, or we are again made to believe something which is un-Islamic. So any last advice you would like to give in order to protect ourselves from not only Qadianism, all the different fitna we have out there, all the different Aqeedah? Any good advice you can?
I think the main thing is education, and these kind of topics need to be discussed in our Salatain courses or our advanced classes, because our youth who are leaving to go to university, they're the ones that are going to be the forefront of interacting with these fitan. So it's important that we equip them before they interact with those fitan through ilm.
Now you mentioned something really amazing. I remember once this particular youngster, he started going to university, not in this area, another area. So I used to go to the area to do Jummah sometimes, once in a while. So once I went there, and after Jummah, then we were having food somewhere. So that brother, he was telling me that my son, he started university. So I said, oh, mashallah, what is he doing? Which university? So he mentioned all the details. Then a few weeks later, when I came back for Jummah, then he was mentioning that, oh, my son, he's got some questions against Sahaba radiallahu anhum, Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, and Ali radiallahu anhu, and these kind of things. I immediately understood that his influence is coming from the other side now. So then I told his father that please remove him from the university as soon as possible. So he said, no, he's okay, he's fine, he's a very intelligent guy, he's mashallah, very educated, very well read. He can make his own mind up, let him explore a little bit. I said, he's strong enough for that. Yeah, if a person is strong enough, then let him put him in a deep end if he knows how to swim. But if he doesn't know how to swim, he's going to drown himself. So then, that same father, 1 year later, or maybe a bit more, was phoning me, and he's crying on the phone to me, and he said, my son's gone too far out. Yeah, and now I think he himself, he openly claims that, I'm part of the Shia community now, and I don't know what to do. I told him, look, I told you, he says, oh, I'm just making a lot of dua. It's like you put him in the deep end. Yeah, you told him, okay, let him explore. He's educated, he's going through that phase and everything. But he doesn't know how to swim. And then you make him do Allah save him from. Like, we need to understand it. When on another point, on one of the groups they were talking about, the school, the kids that go to school and they do nativity during Christmas time, whatever, they do these kind of things. So they were discussing whether we should, let our kid participate in these kind of things or we should not. Yeah. So most of the parents were saying, no, we shouldn't. We should avoid it. We should talk to the school, tell them, look, our kids will not be participating for these reasons, whatever. One or two parents, they came along. He said, no, kids are kids. Let them, they know the difference. They'll be. I said, are they strong enough for that? Sometimes, if a person is not strong enough and he gets too much attached on that side, he could just end up in there. So, number one, my personal advice would be keep a lot of connection with the ulama. So we have a lot of ulama, like our guest Mufti Yousaf on social media and many other ulama. Like I already mentioned that those that are connected to the local ulama, local imams, local, alims, mashallah, they're on track. Yeah. And those that are not connected, they just, browse some random clips here and there, or they just watch a few videos here and there. They are very confused. Yeah, they'll call you. They'll be doing. Oh, I saw this clip. I saw that clip. But you're not in the masjid. You're not connected to the ulama. What do you say?
100%. I think this is the key to the whole issue, is connection to ulama.
So any final words, inshallah, Mufti Yousaf, from you, inshallah, before we finish?
To conclude with what you said is knowledge and ulama. And this, inshallah, will become a means of protecting one's faith.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So if anybody has any questions, any suggestions, anything they're not sure of, inshallah, you can leave a comment. You can get in touch with people like Hazrat Mufti Yousaf, inshallah, or to your local imams, local ulama, inshallah, who will guide you. And Allah protect us from all types of fitna, especially the fitna of Qadianism and those that are claiming to be Muslims, but they are not actually. Allah give us the correct belief, what is meant to be as a Muslim. And Allah strengthen our belief. Allah make us live in this world with complete iman. Allah make us die with iman, inshallah, with the correct aqeedah. Inshallah, we can be in Jannah with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. Until we meet again, inshallah. Jazakumullah.